No doubt about it, among monster fans, Johan is the king of nihilism. When he first waltzes into the scene, he's practically waving a banner that says, "I'm here for a good time, not a long time." As the series rolls on, Johan's personal philosophy becomes as clear as day: life's a joke, and he's the punchline. At the start of Monster, we meet the brilliant Dr. Tenma, who pulls off a life-saving surgery on a big shot under the hospital director's orders. But then, cue the drama, a Turkish lady bursts in, blaming Tenma for her husband's death because he didn't operate on him first. Talk about a buzzkill for Tenma's date night with his fiancée, Eva. He spills the beans, hoping for some sympathy, and Eva, in all her wisdom, drops the bomb: not all lives are made equal. Ouch. That line hits harder than a ton of bricks and sets the stage for the chaos to come. Now, this scene might not showcase Johan's nihilism or even feature the man himself, but don't blink, because it's a crucial piece of the puzzle. If you're talking about a true nihilist, you're basically describing someone who thinks everything, from values to religion, is as useless as a screen door on a submarine. They're not loyal to anyone or anything, and their only hobby is destruction. While Johan might check some of these boxes, like wanting to erase himself from existence, there's a tiny hitch: he's got a soft spot for his twin sister, Nina, or as he knows her, Anna. So, while he's out there trying to dismantle the world like it's a piece of IKEA furniture, he's still holding on to that sibling bond. Talk about a complicated relationship status. Nonetheless, Johan's on a path of destruction that makes him a walking, talking nightmare. He's like that guy who shows up to a party just to unplug the music and leave everyone standing there awkwardly, wondering what just happened. Ah, Johan, the man with a face that could launch 1,000 ships, or 1,000 schemes, depending on how you look at it. This guy isn't just your run-of-the-mill villain, he's a master of manipulation and a charmer to boot. Throughout the series, people can't help but gush about how pretty or beautiful he is, even when he's in disguise as his sister. Talk about having a face for both good and evil. But Johan doesn't just rely on his good looks to get what he wants, he's got charisma to spare. He befriends a college student named Carl and helps him reunite with his long-lost father, Hans Georg Schuwald. Sounds like a nice guy, right? Wrong. Johan's just setting the stage for some good old-fashioned chaos. He almost burns Schuwald alive in a fire he sets, showing that when it comes to destruction, Johan doesn't discriminate. What's truly frightening about Johan is how easily he wins people's trust and then turns it against them. He's like that smooth-talking salesman who convinces you to buy a lemon of a car, only to drive it off a cliff the next day. Johan, the man of mystery, the king of poker faces, the guy who could give a stone a run for its money in the emotions department. This dude is about as expressive as a brick wall, which makes trying to figure out his next move like playing a game of 20 questions with a mime. You never know what's going on in that head of his, which is probably why he's so good at keeping everyone on their toes. There are a few rare moments in the series where Johan actually shows some emotion, like when he sheds a tear at the start of the anime. It's like seeing a unicorn, rare and magical. But don't get too excited. Just because he's crying doesn't mean he's suddenly turned into a softie. This guy is as mysterious as they come, and even when he's showing emotion, you can bet there's something sinister brewing beneath the surface. Take, for example, the time he freaks out over a children's book. Yes, you read that right, a children's book. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never seen anyone have a full-on meltdown over the Cat in the Hat. But Johan? He reads the nameless monster, starts trembling like a leaf, and then lets out a scream that could wake the dead before collapsing. Talk about being dramatic. But hey, that's just Johan for you, always keeping us guessing and wondering what he's going to do next. Ah, Johan, the puppet master pulling the strings, the man with a plan so twisted, even Sherlock Holmes would need a map to figure it out. This guy is like the Wizard of Oz, hiding behind the curtain and controlling everything from behind the scenes. While Dr. Tenma is out there playing hero, Johan is the one setting the stage, playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. What makes Johan such a great antagonist is his unpredictability. You never know what he's going to do next, which keeps you on the edge of your seat, wondering if he's going to unleash chaos or just sit back and watch the world burn. He's like that guy at the party who spikes the punch and then sits back to enjoy the show. Monster is more than just a psychological horror, it's a roller coaster ride of suspense and intrigue, all thanks to Johan Liebert. He's the kind of antagonist you love to hate, with his nihilistic personality and his ability to charm the pants off anyone he meets. Love him or hate him, you can't deny that Johan is one of the most captivating villains in anime history. Ah, Johan, the enigma wrapped in a mystery, the guy who makes a Rubik's Cube look like child's play. This dude is like a puzzle with missing pieces, leaving you scratching your head and wondering what the heck is going on. But hey, that's part of his charm, right? His character is as fragmented as a jigsaw puzzle thrown down a flight of stairs, but somehow it all comes together to create this complex, fascinating individual. Identity crisis? More like identity chaos. Johan's got more issues with his identity than a chameleon at a colorblind convention. From being bred as a mere means to an end to living as his sister, this guy's got more layers than an onion. He's like a walking, talking existential crisis, questioning his very existence and mistaking memories like they're going out of style. But don't let his identity crisis fool you, this guy is as cold-blooded as they come. He's not out there killing people because he's got a personal vendetta, he's doing it with the precision of a surgeon, like he's performing a twisted experiment to prove a point. Life is meaningless, he says, so why not speed up the process and watch it all burn? In a world as absurd as this, where life is fleeting and fragile, Johan is the embodiment of destruction. He's like a wrecking ball, swinging through life and leaving chaos in his wake. Picture this, Johan struts into a room, his entrance so smooth you'd think he was gliding on butter. His eyes twinkle mischievously, and his smile is so charming, it could convince a cat to bark. But Johan's not here to make friends, he's here to win them over with his killer combination of charisma and sarcasm. When Johan speaks, it's like a symphony of wit and charm, with just a hint of "I could destroy you if I wanted to" vibes. He's a master of the subtle insult, able to throw shade so smoothly, you'd think he was auditioning for a role in The Real Housewives of Dusseldorf. But Johan's trash-talking isn't just about being mean, it's about establishing his dominance and showing the world that he's not someone to be messed with. And let's not forget Johan's dark sense of humor, which is as sharp as a katana and twice as deadly. Despite the seriousness of his actions, Johan has a knack for finding humor in the most unlikely of places. His wit is so quick, you'd need a high-speed camera to catch it in action. Whether he's facing down a rival or orchestrating a complex scheme, Johan always manages to find the humor in the situation, often leaving those around him scratching their heads in confusion. But perhaps the most hilarious thing about Johan is his ability to remain composed and charming, even in the most absurd situations. Whether he's dodging bullets or outsmarting the entire police force, Johan always maintains his cool, collected demeanor. It's this ability to stay calm under pressure that makes him such a captivating character, as viewers are left wondering what he'll do next, and how he'll manage to do it with a straight face. Imagine Johan as the ultimate smooth operator, the James Bond of anime villains. He walks into a room, and it's like the air changes. Suddenly, everyone's a little more on edge, a little more aware of his presence. But Johan doesn't need flashy gadgets or a tuxedo to make an impression, all he needs is that trademark smile and a few well-chosen words. When Johan speaks, it's not just what he says, but how he says it. His voice is like velvet, smooth and seductive, lulling his victims into a false sense of security. He could be telling you the weather, and you'd still feel like you were getting away with something naughty. That's the power of Johan's charisma. He makes even the most mundane conversations feel like a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. But Johan's charm isn't just about smooth talk, it's about his ability to read people like a book. He knows exactly what buttons to push to get what he wants, whether it's a confession, a favor, or just a moment of amusement. He's like a master chess player, always thinking several moves ahead and never showing his hand until the time is right. And let's not forget Johan's sense of humor, which is as dark and twisted as they come. He's not afraid to make a joke at someone else's expense, and he always seems to find the humor in the most macabre situations. It's Johan Liebert, the enigmatic figure from Monster, doesn't just enter a room, he announces his presence with a silent confidence that demands attention. His demeanor is as intriguing as it is unsettling, with an aura of mystery that leaves others captivated and slightly unnerved in his presence. When Johan speaks, his words are like a carefully crafted puzzle, each piece fitting perfectly into place to convey his message. His intelligence is palpable, his eloquence unmatched, making even the most mundane conversations with him feel like a dance of words and ideas. Johan Liebert, the charismatic maestro of manipulation from Monster, doesn't just talk the talk, he trashes it with style. His charisma isn't just about charm, it's about his ability to verbally eviscerate his foes with a single sentence. Johan's tongue is as sharp as a samurai sword, and he's not afraid to use it to cut down anyone who dares to challenge him. When Johan speaks, it's like a verbal smackdown, each word landing with the force of a sledgehammer. He's a master of the insult, able to reduce even the most formidable opponent to a quivering mess with a few well-chosen words. But Johan's trash-talking isn't just about being mean, it's about establishing his dominance and showing the world that he's the alpha in any room. But Johan's charisma isn't just about tearing others down, it's also about his ability to inspire fear and respect. He knows exactly how to use his words to instill fear in his enemies and admiration in his followers. He's a master manipulator, able to bend others to his will with the mere sound of his voice. Despite his dark nature, Johan has a twisted sense of humor that adds an element of unpredictability to his character. He finds amusement in the most unlikely of situations, often at the expense of others. But there's a method to his madness, a calculated strategy behind his jokes and jabs that makes them all the more potent. But Johan's charisma isn't just about his words, it's also about his actions. He has a way of moving through the world with a purposeful grace, like a predator stalking its prey. His gestures are deliberate, his expressions calculated, always keeping others on their toes and unsure of his true intentions. Despite his dark nature, Johan possesses a twisted sense of humor that adds an unexpected dimension to his character. He finds amusement in the most unlikely of situations, often with a smirk or a subtle quip that leaves others wondering if they should laugh or be afraid. What truly sets Johan apart, however, is his ability to adapt to any situation. Whether he's charming his way into someone's trust or instilling fear in his enemies, Johan always knows exactly how to present himself to achieve his goals. It's this chameleon-like quality that makes him such a formidable and charismatic character. Love him or hate him, you've got to admit, Johan is one character you won't soon forget.